Actually, believe it or not, I forgot to I forgot to put down oh, for f***'s sakes. I forgot to push my push to talk key down.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bamsters News. Today is Monday, May 27th, and on the docket today we've got things like the WHO classifying a gaming disorder, several games that have come out either in early access or released, and a few Kickstarters. With me today, Mr. Bam Havoc.
Yes, well, Drac, your WHO has now decided to class gaming as a disorder, or sort of say various versions of gaming as a disorder. I don't understand it. For me, gaming's an escapism from the RL. I mean, let's face it, you've got to find your escapism somehow, somewhere. So, you know, this is quite confusing as to why they've classed it as a gaming disorder. So explain.
Well, we've mentioned before that they were looking into this, and here's the thing. Just like anything else, you know, if you're talking about somebody who's majorly into sports, or maybe a bookworm who likes to just sit in their room and read books, you know, too much of any one thing is not necessarily good enough. But I think where they're drawing the line for this classification is the fact that, or at least for the folks who they would say have or classified as having this disorder, is when you're choosing gaming over the responsibilities of things that need to be done in your life, when other parts of your life are falling apart because all you're doing is gaming. Someone who manages to do this and yet still has a balanced life, still has a healthy lifestyle, wouldn't necessarily fall into this quote-unquote disorder. I haven't seen anything yet on all the details, so I don't know if they're going to get into like the minutia and say, oh, if you play games for X amount of hours or more a week, you know, you could have this disorder. Who knows? But we'll see how this goes. I know there's some pushback from the game development community, trying to get them maybe not to classify this, but apparently they've made the decision so far. It goes into effect not until 2022. I don't know why there's a gap there, but whatever.
The way the article reads to me, Drac, is that it seems like a bit more of an addiction rather than a disorder. So perhaps that's why they chose the word disorder rather than gaming addiction. To sort of quantify it. That's what it reads to me. Now, if you're going to choose not drinking water over playing games, well then, you know, I really want to quote sort of Darwin's evolutionary principles, but, you know, it can affect people in varying degrees of thing. I mean, if you want to sort of quantify it as an addiction, you got to sort of add it to the sort of listing of drugs. You know, people do that sort of thing without worrying about the consequences and the havoc and the trouble it causes within their own lives. Gaming can have that effect if you ignore the basic needs and basic functions of how to look after yourself, and if you are responsible for the cares of others, you know, then you might have a problem. So, you know, like you said, balanced life and all that jazz. Take everything in moderation and you can do a lot more.
Yeah, I think this is very similar to like a gambling addiction, although hopefully not as bad. Though with, you know, microtransactions and loot boxes, I guess it could be as worse.
It could be worse. It could be worse. Yes.
All right, moving on from that, we're going to talk about a bunch of games to help with that addiction. So there's an interesting one I saw. I think Jolly said he might have watched some videos of this a while back, and I want to say he classified this as something like a cross between Halo and Portal. But it's a multiplayer arena warfare game called Splitgate.
And I just want to draw attention to that, how Drac has spelt the word warfare. He spelt it wherefore. So yes, this is going great.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but... It's great that my spelling mistakes are getting pointed out on an audio-only podcast.
Brilliant. No, it's brilliant. Wherefore? So this is an Arena Wherefore release on Friday the 24th of May, boys and girls.
So anyway, if you are into competitive shooters, if you like the sound of something that crosses between Halo and Portal, this is something I at least want to go check out because it does look kind of neat. That's available now on Steam, so
Not my thing, sadly. I like the idea behind it, and I see what Jolie says is similar to Halo and Portal, but I can't see myself getting into it, sadly.
Well, it is free to play, so you can always try it out for free and make your mind up that way.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I can have my expectations blown away completely. I mean, I didn't expect much from World of Warships, and yet I'm playing that game addictively. Disorderly. Addictively? Disorderly. Let's go disorderly, because I'm a terror for my own team on that game.
And then another one that just released on Steam, the version 1.0, so coming out of early access, is something called Minion Masters. This might be something more up G's alley.
Let me guess. Micromanagement, and a little bit more micromanagement with a sprinkling of micromanagement?
Well, it's similar to a game in some ways that he and I recently played called Tabletop Gods. But this one, you set up in an arena just like you do there, and you create these minions and you send them at your opponent. And so I think it also has like it's got 2v2 battles, but it also has 4v4, which is something else he was looking for. Was hoping would get added to Tabletop Gods sometime in the future, so that way he, in his words, he has a teammate to yell at when things fail.
Okay, moving swiftly on. Yeah, this is definitely a topic for you. Don't know what to do with yourself while waiting for 2077 Cyberpunk? Check out Conglomerate's 541... What? Drac? Your grammar's terrible today, Drac. Terrible!
Hey, I just put the name there. It's Conglomerate 451. And they released on the 23rd into early access. It's a cyberpunk-like game. Now, it's not going to be the same kind of game that you will get out of Cyberpunk 2077. It's a little bit of a different style game. But if you are looking for a cyberpunk game to kind of fill the gap, as I'm still expecting, we probably won't get... I don't know that we're going to see Cyberpunk release still until 2020. I'm not sure that we'll actually get it before next year.
I'm hoping, with comes to Cyberpunk 2077, right, it launches as a brand new game on the new consoles, because that will sell the consoles. It really shouldn't be a game for an older generation console. It needs to be on the new generation console, because it will fail if it is on the older ones. It really will. It needs to go to the new gen. I really hope it's for PS5 and Xbox 2, or 720, or 2.2, whichever they're going to name the Xbox next time.
I don't know. I think it's going to be more of a cross-gen title, where, you know, it's going to run on the ones now, but then you'll be able to enable like 4K textures and stuff like. At least that's what I'm hoping, because after, I don't know if you saw some of the videos I posted on the Discord of Minecraft with 4K textures and ray tracing turned on.
It looked very pretty, didn't it?
Wow. And I can only imagine what a game like Cyberpunk would look like with that kind of, you know, the 4K textures and ray tracing, and holy crap.
There is a lot of updates when it comes to what's actually going into the PS5. Now, I haven't really seen much when it comes to the new Xbox that's coming out. I think Xbox have learned from their previous mistake and actually biding their time, because right now, PlayStation own the market. You could put that in that sort of context. So the PlayStation 5 needs to sort of maintain its superiority and actually pull out something quite special. And this actually might be PS5, the last console.
Getting back to on topic, however, though, game is Conglomerate 451, released onto Steam in early access for $15.99, but it is currently till the end of the month. It's 10% off, so if you're looking for a Cyberpunk game, that might be worth checking out.
Right, here we go, boys and girls. Apex is not doing very well. Yes, there was an article on Friday just gone, and a couple of more smatterings sort of within the weekend, that Apex Legends has had a bit of a 75% drop in the past 2 months with regards to online player membership. So yay! Apex Legends is falling. Sad to see.
That is pretty sad. Hopefully they can find some way to inject a little more life into that game. Although I haven't been playing a lot of it. I just haven't really sat down to get back into it. But it was a lot of fun. I suck, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I agree. The game's a lot of fun. I do suck hairy balls when it comes to playing that game. However, as I mentioned to G a few days back, they really shouldn't have gone for season passes, because it just becomes another Battle Royale sort of shooter, they should have done something a little bit different. Still have a sort of like a season pass, but do something completely different with it, and then they wouldn't necessarily be in the same sort of conundrum that they are, because the two mainstays when it comes to Battle Royale now is still PUBG and it's still Fortnite. Apex Legends has managed to break into the market quite successfully, but it's that maintenance of that market break that they're struggling with. Now, they need to pull out something quite special to actually to do this right, and unfortunately season passes wasn't the answer. They should have done something very different. Loot boxes, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I think if they can tighten up the code and some of the anti-cheat stuff, maybe address some of the other issues that folks have really had some problems with, they could possibly still turn around the ship, and maybe, you know, that's kind of a tough scale to balance, you know, because you got to deal with any bugs and things that crop up, but you still have to be bringing new content out to appease the folks that, you know, play frequently enough that, you know, need or want new content all the time.
Yes, I'm there with you. Although I don't necessarily think cheating's a major issue, because no matter what game you have, you're still going to have cheating. Now, I'm very against cheating in the online sphere, in the competitive sphere, but if you're just running around on your own PC, well then, I don't really care what you do as long as you keep it to yourself, you know what I mean? So, yeah, there is that. Guys, moving swiftly on, Cave Monsters, right? These guys have been on our show, and their game is Lord Winklebottom Investigates. So, it's basically a giraffe who's a detective, as if you want to put it in layman's terms, Sherlock Holmes and Watson. So, Sherlock Holmes being the giraffe and Watson being the hippo. Yes, there's hippos as well. They have finally managed to reach their Kickstarter goal, and are into several stretch goals. Well done, guys. Well done. You guys deserve every penny. Well done.
And if it's a game that you haven't heard of yet, didn't catch one of our prior episodes, we will make sure there's a link in the description to the interview where we had a chance to talk to the developer from Cave Monsters.
Absolutely cracking people. Honestly, lovely people. A great game, lovely people. And we need more of these sorts of games in the sort of gaming sphere. These games are hard to come by nowadays.
And speaking of Kickstarters and folks that we've talked to, another one that is definitely a lot of fun, I got to put some more time into, Unbound Worlds Apart. Now these guys have hit their Kickstarter goal with 10 days still to go. Apparently my tongue is a little bit jumbled today too.
Grammar as well, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, they're 5K away from their Nintendo Switch stretch goal. So if you want to see the game on Nintendo Switch, make sure to, you know, share that information out so folks can see the game, maybe who haven't seen it. They still have 10 days to go. So there's, you know, at this rate, I'd say there's probably a good chance that they could hit that Nintendo Switch goal.
No, you have to say Nintendo. But look, the game actually suits the Nintendo Switch, so I'll let you have that cheeky dig at me. I'll let you have that, right? The game would suit Nintendo Switch quite well. And again, another bunch of cracking people that deserve everything they get when regards to, because they have so much hard work and effort into this game. So if Cave Monsters, you know, the Unbound guys are just brilliant people. They need to get more limelight, and that's what we aim to do with our podcast shows. Yay!
Speaking of, stay tuned for our episode coming out this Wednesday where we talk about all the games that we found coming out in June. Well, maybe not all of them, but at least a significant chunk.
Yes, upcoming games will be launched on Wednesday. Yay! It'll feature me mostly because it's something that I run with poorly, like a sack potato race. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining Drac and myself for this week's news. I will see you guys shortly on Wednesday. TTFN, boys and girls, love much, bye.
And as always, a like is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you like what we're doing. Any comments are welcome, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, all the good things.